help ease him into this whole he's in a strange place scenario here. This bird was being watched by a game manager in the East Basin, a plantation manager down there. You can imagine why he was being watched, right? Because he's easy to see and stands out like a sore thumb. And this guy was watching this hawk as another red-tailed hawk flew in and they started fighting. And the other red-tailed hawk pinned this guy to the ground and was essentially killing him. So he would have been a casualty of what we would call interspecies interaction, right? It happens all the time. Birds fight, and sometimes one comes out victorious and the other dies. But in this guy's case, a human intervened and saved him from being killed, brought him to our medical facility. This was back in 2015. And when he came in, essentially the entire left side of his face was ripped off. It's kind of gory. But we were able to patch him up and nurse him back to health. And unfortunately, because of his condition, our medical staff didn't feel that he was a suitable candidate for release. One of the most challenging things we have to do is decide whether a bird can go back out there into the wild. Does it have all that it needs to be able to go and hunt successfully? Does it have good odds if we let it go? Because the last thing we would want to do is put a bird out there to either slowly starve to death or maybe kill him, as we thought was probably the likely scenario for this bird. And that's why he stayed with us as an educational ambassador. He's not albino, so a lot of people see him and they say that's an albino red-tailed hawk. Albino is what we would refer to as complete leucism. So leucism, again, is where my melanin producing mechanism doesn't work right, and so I have spots of white where I should have other colors. This guy has normal red-tailed hawk eyes, the dark brown, just like your neighborhood red-tailed hawk. He's got some normal pigment in some of his feathers. You might notice on his back, he's got some black feathers. A few little black dots there. Last year, the back of his head was almost completely black. I was really curious. Every year, it's almost like the little individual melanin light switches get turned on and off in different spots on his body. It's so much fun to watch and see what he's going to look like this next year. You have a question? How old is he? That's a really great question, and I have no idea. I only know that he's as old as he has been with us. So he came into our hospital in 2015, which makes him at least, is that 7 this year? At least 7 this year, right? So your age, at least. But here's the deal, he could be 27 or 37, or he could be 47 like me. I don't know. That'd be really odd if this bird lived 47 years looking like this. I wouldn't suspect that. I would suspect he's probably a young bird when he came to us. How many leucistic birds are there?
And are they rejected or accepted by the other?
Generally, again, like in this guy's case, are they rejected or accepted by the others of their species? Generally, they stand out like a sore thumb. So whether it's rejection or simply just easy competition, right? One red-tailed hawk does not like another red-tailed hawk hanging out when it's not its mate, right? And this guy is easy to see, and so it's really interesting. I've worked with a lot of red-tailed hawks in my career, and this bird is very different from all of the ones that I've worked with. He is typically a red-tailed hawk would be cool to doing what we're doing after a few weeks, right? I could train a red-tailed hawk, and if I started right now, I could have them trained in a month, right? But this guy is paranoid about everything, constantly looking over his shoulder, just very jittery, which makes sense, right? Here's a bird that chances are was being picked on his entire life. In terms of how many leucistic birds are there out there, I've never found a good number. I've looked all over for what's the prevalence of leucism in red-tailed hawks. What I do know is that in my career, I can recall at least 3 leucistic red-tailed hawks being sighted in the Charleston area. So they're not that uncommon, probably 1 or 2 in 100,000 kind of scenario, if I had to guess. What other questions can I answer for you?
In general, about these birds, can they breathe when they have a big chunk of food in their mouth?
So can they breathe when they have a big chunk of food in their mouth? That's a good question. As long as they can open their glottis or still breathe through their nostrils. So their glottis is a hole in their tongue. So they can swallow giant things and not choke because they're breathing. As long as they can get their tongue out beyond the food, they can still breathe. And they do breathe through their nostrils as well. So as long as their nostrils aren't clogged, they can continue to breathe as long as that hole in their tongue doesn't get clogged. Yeah.